What's up, guys? We're gonna brobeatz, and today I'm gonna be showing you guys chord rhythms. If you guys haven't subbed already or turned post when he's on, make sure you do so because it helps it a lot. So let's hop right into it. So we're gonna start with level 1 all the way up into level 4, and this is just my method and how I visually see it. So like when I'm making chords, this is what I see in my head on where to place these and like what rhythms and stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with level 1. All right, so now we're at level 1 and we'll just build up as we go, obviously. And this stuff is really easy, so it should go by pretty quick because it's straightforward. Once you see the points of where to put things, then things will start to click and everything. But I'm gonna just go ahead and simplify this because I don't want to have to deal with like these lower notes and I want to be able to see everything. So I'll scroll up and you'll see now we have these two different colored notes up here. And at the start and end of these notes is where you want to put these chords. Now you can put the chords wherever you want, but when you add a beat to your chords, it does need to be in rhythm or it's just going to sound off, right? Unless you intend to do that. So obviously the most obvious part is right here, right? So right at the start, this is, you probably did this before. It's really easy. And then we could do it over here as well. I'll just play that real quick. Okay, and then we have this, right? That's at the end, and we're looking at the blue. And this is what I'm seeing, okay? To kind of help you visualize. Right. You can see that this rhythm here fits my drums a lot better than this one. Okay, so this is why this stuff is important. So you get the most out of your beat. So now we went over this one, this placement, and on the grid. Okay, because on the grid is the most basic, right? Everybody has done this before. So now you see the pink, right? Remember the start to the end of each note. Okay, so now you get other placements. Now this it's gonna sound off, but you can do it, but I'll show you how to do it, and it's pretty easy. Okay, now it's not too off, but if it does sound off to you, what you could do is put another chord there. It could be either one. I usually just like to use the same chord that it's stemming from, so I'll just move these back a bit so you can see. Okay, so it's that simple. All right, it's not really that complicated, and that goes for any one of these notes. Now something else that you can do is you can offset these notes as well. Okay, you see it's lining up here. Okay, and that goes for the beginning as well. I just put it right here because it was the most common area where you would switch up the rhythm. Okay, now you could combine these, right? These rhythms. So if you can have this one over here, and I'm just trying to show you some ways you can get creative. And I don't want to get into like making melodies by doing this, so I want to keep everything kind of straight. So you can use this, do something like that, and then over here we could keep it like this, and then maybe pull this back or something, right? Maybe this one, right? And this isn't on it, but it applies throughout. Okay. All right, so now you can see all the combos that you can come up with just from this simple stuff, right? So that's level 1. Now we're gonna move on to level 2. All right, so now we're at level 2, and all we did was move this back a little bit to this part. Now this lies at the end of the loop point, or I guess you could say at the beginning. But how do you find the loop point? The loop point is every 2 bars, so that would be 1, 2. Okay, so at the end of this is the loop point. And right here you can kind of get away with a lot. So you could, well, let me just cut it instead. It'd probably be better. But right here you can even change up the chord. All right, and this is not the only place. This is just a given area where you'll know it'll work. Okay, so you could cut these areas up and it'll still work with any beat or, you know, pattern that you have. So if, say you already have a beat made and you want to go in and chop up the chords, these are areas that will work without messing up the rhythm. Okay, so for example, we could just get away with a lot here because it's a free area. I'll play it. Right, and it doesn't even sound that bad. Now everything's in, even though it's on the grid, everything's still in beat, and you could kind of do stuff like this. All right, very simple, very simple. So now we're gonna talk about this again, and right here is a fragile point. The reason for that is because it's where it changes chords. Now this could be anywhere, but like I said, this is the common areas. So at the end or the beginning is where you could kind of switch these around if you want. So if you want to switch something right here and do something like this, you could. But this part is important because this is where your rhythm changes. This is actually where your rhythm changes. Okay, so it's important to get this part right, or at least match it up with the drums that you have. All right, so if you want to do something like this, you could. All right, I don't want to box people in and think this is the only area you can move them. No, it's not. So you could do something like this. Right, and these areas still work. Right, and now you can get real creative. Right, and I guess we could just keep that. All right, so that's level 2. Just remember this part right, the first one, this one right here, why does it keep doing that? Is the most important part because this is where the rhythm actually changes. This is just a free area, right, to kind of maybe going to switch up the chord or something like that, right? So that's level 2. So now let's move on to level 3. All right, so now we're at level 3. And as you can see, we got this green and yellow part up here. Now, this is pretty much the same as this free area, except now this, I'll just like to call this the bounce area. Because for some reason, when you place your chords, usually right here in this middle one, it just puts way more bounce into the chords than it would normally have. So I'll play it normally, and I took off the drums so that the drums wouldn't help with the bounce because I want the chorus to kind of do the work. Okay, it has a little bit of bounce right here, but you'll see once I put this right here, it'll put more emphasis throughout. Right, it's a lot better, right? And then I have this offset because there's not really any specific reason, but it's just something that I noticed with chords is usually, and you see me do this right here and here, right? When you offset the chords like this, it just sounds good, okay? Right, so that's why it's not, you probably like, why isn't it at the beginning, right? Because that's where the chord starts, so you don't even need to worry about that. All right, and you could, again, you could put stuff in here. I still think this is a lot going on, but you know, just for demonstration purposes, we can just kind of put some stuff. Actually, let's even put some right here, and you can see now we can get real creative. Right, and this one is probably the most common that you hear, right? Right, and obviously this is doing too much. Like, let's be honest, this is definitely doing too much, but just trying to show you things that you can do, okay? Because this stuff is going to come in handy later when you start making a melody. All right, so that's level 3, really, really easy. So now let's move on to the last one, which is level 4. All right, so now we have level 4, and this one's pretty easy. We just have these. It looks complicated, but it's not, trust me. So the gray ones are the ones that you don't use by themselves. You use them with another note, preferably right before a note. So we have a stab here, so we can just cut this, right? And this will be the start of our stab right here. Right, you can see these notes are cut too. So, but this is being used together, right? Even though technically it's on different spots, right? But if I play this by itself, and let me just let's just put it on a different spot. So if I just put this right here, it'll sound super off, and we could just do another one, right? And this is where these notes, and I'll highlight them all. You'll see where they're being played at. And you can see it's off. Let's go ahead and delete these, pull them back. So in order to use these, you have to put them before. So if we want to put some here, you could probably do something like this. Right, and they continue. Now that brings me to my next point, which is this part. Now remember I said this is fragile. The closer you get to this part, the more work you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to kind of do more decision making, pretty much. Because you can see this is starting to sound a lot more off, right? This one's sounding in beat, right? But the closer we get to this, the more it's sounding a lot more off. So you have to add more notes. So we could just change this up just for something fresh and new. And then say we want to add something here. Let me just pull it out. We have to add that right before, right? And that still might be a little off. So you could add other notes within, and then we can complete it. And I'll just play it right here. Right, and for me, I would probably add something else right here. Okay, now this is just a chords bare, so it's gonna sound weird. So when you have the drums in, everything will sound fine. Okay. All right, so that's pretty easy. And also you could use this for the melody as well. So we could do something like this, and you pretty much just take it away. It's just like animating. Any video I made when you animate the melody, pretty much like this. And remember, you got to use these notes, these gray ones, with another note. So we could probably try something like this. Just move this one over. And I usually just pull these out. Right, you can see now we can kind of build a melody with these parts. Okay, and then we can continue our rhythm with our stabs, and it's going to be hard to kind of navigate. But, and like I said, obviously it doesn't need to be on exactly right here, because this is where it starts, right? So let's put one right here. Actually, yeah, one right here. All right, you could just start to do a bunch of stuff here. All right, and I'm gonna just close this out. And even let's do something like this. Try some new stuff. All right, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna just play it through. All right, so you can take a screenshot of this if you really need this. I don't think you should have to, because it's pretty much just remember this part. Okay, and then these extras are just little things I want to explain and troubleshoot, because I know a lot of people might have questions like, oh, when do I use this part, or why doesn't this area work over here or there, right? So I just want to make sure I covered all that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You could combine so much of this stuff together to make some crazy chords. All right, and even if you want to go in between these areas, you can, but just remember that this area is pretty much where your chords will change the rhythm of your beat or whatever, right? So you gotta make sure you get this part right first, and then you can go ahead and do some crazy stuff. All right, but that's it for this video. Hopefully this helped out. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.